Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Silver Tears Tarot. It is so good to have you here. We are going to go back into my inbox. My inbox is kind of a never ending place for questions that want to come up. And so if you contact me and you share your information and say, hey, here's a question, I will generally be able to weave it into a reading or maybe just create a reading around it. And so that's what I've been doing here. Assuming, of course, that it's a question that could be asked of this general collective, because these are general readings and I do them for this collective. So it's not going to resonate with everybody. It resonates with people who are part of the collective, and you don't know till you try. So as you get in here, if you start to feel like things really are fitting with you and that it is your story, you may want to look back and see if there are some other messages that also fit for you. And of course, if you would like, please subscribe. um, so, what I was thinking we would do today, we're going to take a look at a question that has come up in a couple of different forms, but someone has asked it very directly. We've talked about whether you should be reaching out to your person, we've talked about how your person feels about reaching out to you, all these different things, but we kind of, one of the things that we talk about in some of the readings is what does your person even want? What does your person want for you to do at this time? And so that's what we're going to ask today. It's a question of what does your person actually want for you to do? We're going to start out by getting that energetic backdrop and just see kind of what's sticking out about things today. And sorry if you're hearing mowers in the background. It's like everything was really quiet until all of a sudden I decided that I wanted to hop on here and do this reading. But they'll be gone soon, so hopefully doesn't last very long as part of this reading. So we have the Hermit card that has come out, and here's a concept that we've seen here in a little bit, or seen a couple times here recently, in some of the recent readings, and it's that idea of going off into that hermit cave, into that thinking cave, and just um, not wanting to be disturbed. We've gotten a lot of that from your person. We did a reading yesterday about why your person is so quiet, why they're not letting their thoughts be, why they're not sharing what they're thinking, what they believe about the situation. They're just kind of, in some cases, being completely quiet, in other places, not really being very productive with the communication. So they're in their thinking cave. They are doing some consideration. They really are valuing the stability of the moment. So there's a feeling about this right now that has a little bit of that calm before the storm sort of feeling. And they're valuing the quiet, the calmness that's coming before this storm. That's interesting because it seems like they're in a storm. I mean, they've been in a storm since you met them. Things have never really calmed down. We've seen that Six of Swords come out over and over about this, and they're just kind of valuing that right now they're able to do a little bit of thinking. You are probably able to do a little bit of thinking too, because this is the energetic backdrop and what is sticking out. So it's not just necessarily going to impact them, although sometimes if it seems like it impacts one person more than the other, I will be happy to point that out. So they're very much valuing that calm before the storm. You may be benefiting from it, but I don't know how much you are saying, I want to keep things the way that they currently are. Both of you are able to sidestep some of the overthinking at this point. And it comes from being aware that it's happening, being aware that you're doing it, but it's not one of those things that you can necessarily stop for very long. There's the feeling of not jumping in. We just saw this in the extended yesterday. So if you've been watching, these videos, the people who are watching it, the group has grown, and it means that there are more people that I'm reading for here on YouTube. But some of the patterns have been, like I was saying yesterday, remarkably consistent, even across this larger group. We still have a bunch of a bunch of chasers that don't really want to chase, a bunch of people who have started to really develop that self-worth that keeps you quiet, that keeps you from chasing somebody who is not in a place where they can talk right now for whatever reason. And of course, we've looked at why. One of the things that we noted in yesterday's reading was this, that they've got this feeling where they can't jump in. It's a feeling where they can't jump in, and it may be rubbing off on you just a little bit because something is distinctly not right. We've got the Justice card in the reverse, the Eight of Cards in the upright. There's a need to figure out exactly what it is that is going to make you happy. And like we talked about yesterday, this is a lot of shades of yesterday. Things aren't right, but there's a desire to make things right. The other thing that we talked about yesterday that I want to point out here is that feeling that things do actually change over time. So, we talked about whether it's sometimes you'll hear it referred to in some people's situation, it becomes that midlife crisis. In other people's situation, it becomes an awakening. It's what you do with the energy that comes your direction when you figure out that what you thought was your happiness is not necessarily your happiness long term, and that you have to make some adjustments to change that. And if your life doesn't change along with it, then you may have to make some significant adjustments. And that's essentially where you and your person find yourselves, trying to determine how big of an adjustment you would need to make. And your person recognizes that so much is wrong in their situation and what they've set themselves up for, that a fairly significant adjustment is going to be required. So that's really what this Eight of Cups is talking about. It's talking about the fact that there is going to be an adjustment required, or an adjustment is being made. I feel like an adjustment is being made on your side. I think it's being your person is recognizing that it is required on their side. There's a sense of this being a huge struggle, but they haven't figured out how to, and probably neither have you. This is probably very shared. It's a matter of trying to figure out how to turn all of this energy that's just it's out there and it's kind of going in all these directions, but how do you unify it? How do you point all of these dragons like the same direction so that their fire, all instead of burning each other, they're all going the same way, so that instead of it being a struggle among themselves within their energy, it could be them becoming very powerful and able to manifest and move forward. So that is one of the things that one of the lessons that wants to come out right now, particularly on your person's side. But I get the sense that there's some benefit for you as well. And you may notice a bit of a slowdown. So yesterday we had a couple of times, well, definitely we saw the Eight of Wands, and I think we saw it once and talked about it another time. But the idea was that there was a strong sense of energy that was moving very quickly around your person, but they were kind of being shielded from it. I use the example of a rock, a stone that's in a river that's moving really quickly, but the universe was kind of creating this shield to keep the fast moving energy from coming to impacting your person, to give them kind of this opportunity to sit in their thinking cave. Well, the river, they'll notice, has kind of slowed a little bit here, but it hasn't slowed completely. And this is something that is, this is just upside down. Okay. Yeah, I'm like, this doesn't feel like this is part of the reading. It's just because the deck was upside down and we didn't happen to want the bottom card. So for those of you who are tarot readers out there who are asking for different advice, sometimes the bottom card matters, sometimes it doesn't. And you'll know because you'll know. In my case, I see the cards kind of glow, and I look at them, and so I'll get in and I'll see a bunch of cards and I'll say, okay, I want this top one, or I want these top few, and I know where to stop because I know where they stop feeling like they're the right cards for the reading. So if you're ever in there and just kind of wondering like, why did I just set a bunch of them down? That's why. So we've got this Four of Swords that's come out again. This is in that healing space. It's very much a feeling of um, so it's healing, and this next one's going to be an honorable mention, and it's really, this is what is making things complicated. So this is the self trust that is growing within both of you. There is this ground floor level that you guys have gotten in on that has allowed you to somewhat trust one another in ways that you don't necessarily trust yourself, which sounds a little bit strange given the way that the relationship is playing out. But it's part of why your person feels so comfortable hanging out in your energy, even though they don't seem to want to reach out. This is the comfort and the energy. This is why they're not able to reach out. And we saw this yesterday as part of your bridge. Something that you need to do is allow for this time of rest and rejuvenation. It matches really well with the energy of the Hermit card up here, and taking some time to just kind of calm down with it today. So this is pretty. This is pretty intense energy for something that doesn't want to be reaching out sort of energy. This is very much kind of in a chrysalis forming, but also very intense energy for that. So we're going to look now. That was the energetic backdrop and just kind of what was sticking out. And what is sticking out is the healing that is taking place and that actually really needs to take place, and that reassessment of the situation that actually needs to take place. So I think what we want to look at here in the next question is really, what do they want you to do? Do they want you to call them? Do they not want you to call them? Do they want you to leave them alone? Like, what is it that they would ideally want? Now, you may not make your decision based on what this person wants, but you may also want to know what it is. So we've got the 10 of boons. Okay. So they want something that completely disrupts their lifestyle. All right. This is the 10 of boons. And so the boons are earth energy in this deck. Okay. And the 10 is like the 10 of pentacles or the 10 of coins. It's that household that's like, it is the happiest of households. It is everybody's needs being met. Everyone has resources. They have what they want. They have what they need. Everything is pretty much covered. This is a happy environment for you to live, to raise a family if that's what you're going to do. Some of you already have, and that's not what you're looking for, but you may be looking for whatever your equivalent is of this happy home situation and environment. It's more than just the house. It's also going to be, here's my material life. This is where I go to work, or this is where I go to volunteer, or whatever it is that they do to spend their time. They're wanting to do something that basically disrupts everything. That is what they deep down want to do. But as you can imagine, this is not necessarily something that you can just jump in and do. It's also not at all what I thought was going to come out. And the thing is, I have been doing enough readings to understand that I should never think I understand what's going to come out. They want victory. This I expect. They want victory after this long battle. So we saw in the recent reading, yesterday's reading, I believe, that the battle is not yet over. But they would like victory at the end of this battle, and they just kind of want to be to the end of it. They want to feel protected in a way that they currently do not. So, this is the Seven of Wands, and it's not just protection, it's also confidence and a feeling of being able to reach out and do what needs to be done. And right now, they feel like any sort of reach would be overreach and it would mess up their balance. So you're not seeing them be feeling confident. They don't feel protected by their higher selves right now. They don't feel like they're in a situation where they could truly disrupt what's happening in their lives and move into a more challenging place. I mean, this is. There's still a lot of fear. And I think when we go into the extended, we need to look into some of what's stopping them, because we see what it is that they want here. But the barrier, I know that there's fear element in there, but it's always worthwhile to kind of dig in a little bit more and find out kind of what's causing it. It's like the rule of whys, the five whys. You keep asking why enough times, and you'll get to an answer that's a little bit more beneficial and deeper in for you. So I think what we're going to do with this one, so we've got that energetic backdrop. We know there's some healing trying to happen here, which is good. It's very much needed, but it's also that reevaluation on your person's part, which is needed, but might not be quick. And we've seen in recent readings that that was not necessarily going to be quick, but you've got your own fish to fry, because you've got some things that are happening right in front of you that give them some time to kind of get things worked out. But when we look at what they want, I mean, when we look at that, it's, I want something completely different from what I currently have. I would like to be successful with you. I would like to feel more protected. Here we have the Four of Cups. They want their amazement and just they have this sense of impressed amazement with you, and they would like for it to be allowed they can't show it. Like, there's a reason they can't show it. There's a person in their life or situation, could be a job. There's something that disallows them being able to talk about how much they appreciate you, and they feel like they can't show it. They're having to hold it under wraps for some reason. But we've got the Six of Swords here also, that's showing up in reverse along with the Fortune's Wheel, which is like the Wheel of Fortune in the traditional tarot. Um, this is they would like to be able to this is in reverse, which suggests there's no movement, but that's not what's coming off the card. What I'm feeling from it is they wish they could turn back time to a place when the two of you were not in such a tumultuous emotional place, where you were able to maybe connect, and they really want this balance. They want day to day balance. So this isn't temperance balance. This isn't across your whole life being able to sit on a tightrope kind of balance. This is the type that allows you to get through the day. That's one of the things that you afford them, but it is also what you most significantly threaten for them. So we've got Fortune's Wheel, which is, like I said, is wishing that they could turn back time to a time when things were a little bit more simple with you. So they want success, but they want it to look like it did at one time before things got difficult for them to determine. So one thing you can't do, with the Six of Swords in reverse, is take some time to calmly reflect, which is what's happening here. This calm reflection time is necessary, but with all of these tumultuous emotions going on, they're really not in a position to calm down and reflect. So they do want things to calm down to a place where they can reflect, but that's not really what the card was saying. What the card was saying was, I want things to go back to a time before it got crazy, essentially, emotionally crazy, a place where they feel like they could still trust. And there's a trust, like in the, like we saw here, that got in on the ground level, sort of level of trust that allows them to feel like they know you and can trust you more deeply, and that's why you feel that on the spiritual level, but it's not necessarily playing out here in the physical. And yet we know something is not yet over. We know with the universe card coming in here, it's the equivalent of the world card in reverse. It's not yet over, but there is I don't want to say this is resolved. So there's, I'll get to this in just a second. There's this feeling that things are not yet over, and that's part of what drives your person to kind of keep coming back and keep wanting to understand what they can do to make the pain go away. They're looking to make the pain go away. That's one of the things they most desperately want. They want success. They just wish all of the difficult stuff was kind of behind them and that they didn't have to do that anymore. Then you've got the Five of Swords. So this is something they are in the process of doing. You guys are in the process of doing, but it feels like it's not resolved yet, which is what I was seeing earlier. The Five of Swords is that not jumping into a battle that really doesn't need to be fought. And so it's about the fact that that is still sometimes happening a little bit with the two of you. Not necessarily that it's a constant thing, but it's something that will need to end in order for the healing to really be complete. And it's also something that will automatically end. You'll stop choosing battles that don't make any sense, and that's part of what they want. They want both of you to not feel the need to choose battles that they feel don't make any sense. Oh, and we've got one card that fell here that does want to get used in the reading. We've got the Queen of Cups. So I'm standing here when I do these readings, and when the cards fall, they flutter to the ground, and sometimes they fall like, here, use me, and then other times they, nope, you know. And so anyway, we have the Queen of Cups that very much wants to be part of this. So the I guess, I don't know if I should use this one. It's got a pretty strong glow to it, but it still feels like it might just be kind of an honorable mention. So that's what we'll do with it. But just so you know, for the record, it's darned close to wanting to be used in the reading. So we have the Queen of Cups that's come out here, and then we have the Knight of Swords that's come out. The Knight of Swords is about a decisive forward movement. This is a knight that moves forward, makes a decision, and goes. And this is something that your person would like to be able to do, but only kind of. They're also very concerned about it. They're looking for the transformation that they know that this energy is going to bring. They just want to be on the other side of it. And it's interesting because they want something that's a little bit of a conundrum. This is the Queen of Cups. It has a transformative element of it, which, so you see the smoke coming out of the cup looks like this dragon that also looks like a phoenix. That's a transformation that comes from love. And so they want that transformation that comes from love, but they don't want to have to live through what has to happen in order to get there. You know, there's a lot of discomfort that occurs. They would like to have the learning done and learning behind them, and they would like to have already won, but they also want things to go back to the way that they were. And that's the conundrum. Things will not ever go back to the way that they were because you two are different people now. So that's kind of, and we'll, like I said, we'll look a little bit more deeply into this one when we go into the extended as well, because I want to understand a couple of things. I want to understand a little bit of the reaction to this energy, as well as just kind of your person's emotions around what they want, because we're seeing a lot here as what they wish would happen, but what's in the way of that, like I was saying before, what is it that is preventing them from moving toward the lessons and more of what they want? So before we jump into the extended, which will be for fewer people, so we know that fewer people join in the extended, so that's usually a little bit more targeted energy. And I want to be clear, I'm never trying to like make the best parts of the reading go into the extended or anything. Basically, we go in to answer the question, and we see what comes out. And a lot of times will say, "Oh, okay, so here's what your person wants, but boy, there's a huge disconnect between that and what I'm seeing. So what's in between that?" That's a great answer or great question for the extended, because it's something that could have come out here, but it didn't. So we're going to dig in a little bit deeper with that. Before we do, though, what I'd like to do is join or look at what you can most be focused on right now. And this is that near term. We'll look longer term when we get into the extended, but this is my commitment to you to put your lesson in every reading, because what we've discovered is that's the most important piece of this. It's the reason that you and your person were brought together. So we're going to keep track, and I'll give you a place to talk about your person and a place to think about your person and to kind of watch what's happening on their journey. But we're going to take a close look at what's happening in your lessons, and we're going to keep a close look on it. So this card has come out sideways, and it feels like it needs to remain this way. It's the Nine of Spells. This is that Nine of Wands. It's about defensiveness, and so it's not about dropping all your defenses, and that's the reason it's sideways and not upright or in the reverse. It is not here, I must remain incredibly defensive. It is not here, I'm going to drop my defenses. It is, I want you to think about your defenses. That's kind of what's coming out in this one. Um, so the next thing that you're focusing on is not necessarily getting rid of defenses and dropping things so much as recognizing why they're there. You'll have better luck with dropping them and other things that come in that want to be just like them, if you understand what's driving them. So you've got the Chariot, you've got the desire and a need to get things accomplished now. You've got something that needs to be um, essentially needs to be addressed now. You've got the desire to jump in and do that. You've got the self trust within yourself that you're building as well. And it's beautiful. It's one of the things that, I'll have these conversations with you and I'll hear, here's my situation. Things are very challenging. Here's the way that I'm choosing to address it. And sometimes it just brings me to tears. It's the most amazing thing to know that you guys are actually getting these messages. When we get to the lessons, you're not just listening to the part about your person, you're also listening to the part about here's how you can heal, here's some practical knowledge for you. It is going to be a slow process. We see that here with the Knight of Pentacles, and we see that kind of on a regular basis, just as we look through this overall process. There's nothing fast about this. That self trust is super critical. The feeling of the lack of support that your person feels is, that's part of what's driving their lack of self trust. There is a delay here, something that is basically slowing down the process, and not, and it's okay, because it's one of the things that I'm seeing. Oop, I dropped another card. One of the things that I'm seeing increasingly throughout these readings is that not only does there need to be a delay as the two of you are working through this, but both of you have work that you want to do before you come into a place of reconciliation. And it doesn't mean you can't talk between now and then. It just means that before that reconciliation is going to be successful, you're going to have to get into a place where you're prepared for that. So we've seen a lot of the knight, or not the knight, the page of pentacles coming in saying, stay open to the lessons. For a while, it seemed like it was coming up in every reading. Here we have the Sire of Pentacles, which is like the King of Pentacles in reverse, and it's all about, I guess it's like a cousin of imposter syndrome that you want to watch for here. Watch for yourself feeling like maybe you're not quite doing the right thing. It's more of that overthinking that you want to go ahead and get rid of. And we have the Ace of Wands. So remember again, you have something that is essentially haunting you, stalking you, coming to you, but it's the most awesome thing. This is something that you just need to turn around and let it happen. But it may not be super obvious. So please try not to beat yourself up about this. Also, you may be standing in your own way simply with the emotions that you're feeling with your person. And we saw that in some of the previous readings. So you've got to be able to open yourself up to give and receive love equally, while at the same time being able to what did we see a couple of readings ago? We got maybe it was yesterday, I can't remember which reading it was, but it was feel and release. We got this oracle card that said feel and release, and it's basically you have the experience and then you let it go. It's like catch and release, but it's like you want to catch and release with the love emotion and let everything be driven by love. I remember that one coming out as well. And it's something that often wants to come out in here. There are going to be mysteries, there are going to be situations, and this is a reminder that harkens back to the lesson about getting comfortable in uncomfortable places. But you are going to have places where you don't have all the information and you haven't quite figured everything out. That's going to be okay. Definitely not everything is going to work in your favor, with the Three of Pentacles in the reverse, but that's part of this. It's you learning how to, even without the energy slowing down to where you have a chance to really think things through and get calm about it. Like this is where your person is suffering because things won't slow down for them. You're going to be fine with it. The truth still comes out and you're still going to be able to accommodate that truth. You will have a tough time making this decision that's coming for you, though, that we keep seeing. So keep that in mind. There's a decision that's coming for you. You've got a couple of tough things coming, a couple of crossroads that you're going to be coming up to. You aren't going to be able to truly make the decision until you're there. That's one of the things that we've also been seeing. So allow it to just be patient. Be patient as you approach the crossroads so that you don't try to make a snap decision or one that is ill timed, because if you go too quickly, you're not going to have all the information that you would actually want to consider for it. But the other thing is, even if you go too quickly, even if you make a snap decision, even if you do something that you didn't mean to do, it's not the kind of thing where you won't be able to work through damage control. So nothing to freak out about over here. Just, tread carefully and be honest with yourself. So we're going to go ahead and go into the extended. I want to dig back into this section here about what they want and just kind of see. We've got a lot of really wonderful, beautiful things that they want, but they don't know how to get at the transformation. So let's see what's in between, like what's in the way there. Of course, we'll look a little bit more deeply into your bridge and what you have to do to get across it as well. But we're going to take everything into account. We're going to take let me restart that. We're going to take this energy into account that you guys are experiencing, kind of that energetic backdrop that's behind everything. So we're going to do that now. You can click the Vimeo link down below if you'd like to go to the extended. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you again in the next reading.